Bienvenue, you arty farties. Pablo Sugarpants here, ready to make some happy little trees. Today we're pressing the 1979 paint-filled picture show, The Driller Killer. A deceiving description that's not exactly wrong, but still feels a little misleading. Basically, it makes you think you're about to fire up a Texas Chainsaw knockoff when it's actually a lot deeper, philosophically speaking. So let's pick up our fan brush and some cadmium yellow and send it on down to Abraxas for his Jackson Pollock.
We have 11 dead bodies, 12 cups blood, half a cup vomit, 7 naked breasts, 1 naked butt, 1 skinned rabbit, 2 bleeding eyes, 1 creepy bunny mask, taxi ride heavy petting, phone chucking, gratuitous buffalo painting, gratuitous weird sexy paintings, gratuitous toothbrushing, gratuitous rabbit butchery, gratuitous rabbit head stabbery, gratuitous creepy dream sequences, gratuitous blood shower fantasy, gratuitous jazz horn noodling, instant ambulance cliche, ladies only shower sexy time, 1 butchered rabbit freakout, 1 badass switchblade, 1 styrofoam Big Mac box, 1 really nasty pizza, 1 drilled head, 1 drilled chest, 1 repeatedly drilled chest, 2 drilled backs, 1 drilled shoulder, 1 drilled forehead, drilled to the ribs, 2 hands drilled to the wall, 1 man drilled to the door, pizza sliced to the face, creepy ambiguous ending, and 1 Big Mac attack.
Okay, so a little personal background for this one. I saw this title, watched the trailer, checked the content listings, even read a couple of reviews, saw that it was banned in the UK for 20 years, and still none of that prepared me for what this movie actually is. It's not some dude just going around and killing people with a power drill. I mean, that totally happens. A lot. But a much more accurate title would be Pretentious Asshole Painter Goes Insane Once Bigger Asshole Punk Rockers Move Into His Apartment Complex. So let's roll that beautiful bean footage. Our movie begins with our artist, Reno, heading into a moody church. It's completely empty except for one other person. And Reno takes the seat right next to him. You got the entire church and you sit next to the only other person in the pews. So immediately we find out Reno is an asshole. And not only does he sit next to the man, but then he starts reaching for his hand. Anyway, the old man grabs Reno's hand and he takes off.
What did he do to you to make you act so crazy?
What did he do? Fucking guy grabbed my hand, touched my hand.
Sit somewhere else, you pretentious prick. Jesus, we're not even 3 minutes into this one and I already hate this guy. Okay. Technically, we do explain this scene. Apparently, the old man found Reno's contact information in the trash or whatever and called him for a meeting. Why did he do this? We never find out. Reno and his lady friend Carol start getting awfully friendly in the back seat of the cab while they ride to a nightclub. Carol runs inside and we gotta listen to some really terrible music. Remember, kids, not every song from the 70s was good. Some were downright terrible. Carol grabs her friend Pamela and the two take off. Turns out there's a little bit of a thruple sitch going on here. Honestly, the story itself isn't a complicated one. Reno is your typical starving artist who's stuck on his latest masterpiece, some buffalo mess that he's seeing great difficulty in finishing. The bills are piling up and services are about to be cut off. The landlord is demanding the late rent, and Reno's art director is breathing down his neck, insisting that he finish his latest piece soon. Add to that the fact that his two ladies are pretty dependent on his money, and the dude's starting to crack under the pressure. Of course, he might get more work done if he didn't stand on the street watching bums throw up into the gutter. But I suppose everyone's muse is different. Reno's starting to have nightmares involving blood and power tools, and when he goes downtown to people watch, he witnesses murders happening in broad daylight. But the biggest blow to his psyche is when a noisy-ass group of punk rockers move into the building, staying up all hours of the night to play their shitty music.
But what am I supposed to say?
Then one night, our group is watching a little TV when an awesome product is announced.
Quarterback. Used with any household appliance. Wherever electricity is needed but not available. Anything that plugs into your wall sockets will plug into Quarterback.
And this little bit right here pisses me off to no end. Because going into this movie, I had already started to imagine a ton of jokes about this idiot murdering people, but only because they can't run to just outside of the length of his extension cord. And now, none of them apply. Reno complains to the landlord about the band's noise, but as with all things in life, it all comes down to money. The band has paid their rent, and Reno is behind on his, so the landlord sides with the actual paying customer. But the landlord gives a peace offering, his freshly skinned pet rabbit, for dinner. The one that we saw living the first time we see the bastard. What the hell? Was it a pet, or is he just running the world's least efficient meat farm? Reno takes the carcass upstairs, and we get to see him butcher the meager little thing. And just to be safe, I think I should censor this. Because either this thing is a real rabbit, or the effects crew went above and beyond to make a super realistic practical special effect. I'm guessing it was way cheaper to skin and butcher a real rabbit. Reno spends an awful lot of time slicing and stabbing the hell out of the head.
Kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit.
We then cut to him staring at the shiny drill bits at the local hardware store. At one point, Reno starts hearing voices and has some more violent images while trying to work. Then he goes out with a power drill and his brand new handy-dandy power pack, and kills one of the many, many homeless people in his neighborhood. Jesus. 38 minutes in, and we finally get to some drillin' killin'. To be fair, though, it's about 40 minutes into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre before we see some chainsaw massacring. The band gives Carol some tickets to get into a nightclub they're playing at, and she convinces Reno to go, even though he's pretty sick of hearing them practice at all hours of the night. She insists they take him up on their offer because the three of them haven't been out together in months.
My mama talking to me, trying to tell me how to live. But I don't listen to her because my head is like a sieve.
Eventually, Reno has enough of the punk scene and heads out to the streets to start offing as many randos as he can. And he ends up putting down an impressive 8 victims. I gotta say, for only $19.95, that little battery pack sure is paying for itself. I can barely get 12 solid hours of doom-scrolling Reddit before my 21st century cell phone needs to be connected to the charger. And after a long night of drillin' killin', what better way to top it off than with an ice-cold Budweiser, as well as a refrigerated Big Mac. Ba-da-da-da-da! I'm loving it. While enjoying his homicidal afterglow, there's a knock on the door, and it just so happens to be the lead singer of the Sticky Dip Fucks. Actually, the band's name is The Roosters, but I suggest the Sticky Dip Fucks to be a much better punk name. Anyway, here our killer is finally face to face with the source of so much of his frustration. and he doesn't kill the noisy bastard. The guy commissions a portrait for his upcoming album, and Reno gives him the price of $500. So there's a month's rent, you fucking sellout. Pamela comes home with a really nasty-looking pizza for everyone. Reno shovels in 4 slices and tosses the crusts. So I guess he's not that much of a starving artist.
You want a bite with some peppers on it?
No.
Ask her, maybe she wants a bite.
I don't know, folks. I have watched this scene several times in a row, and I have no idea what any of that was supposed to be about. I mean, I get that his frustration is ruining the vibe of the apartment 3-way, but this part still feels really weird. Apparently, taking a bite of a pepper is massively insulting to Carol for whatever reason. And she goes to a payphone to call her ex, Steven, who's been paying her alimony. We get a little bit of a semi-montage of scenes where Reno's painting the portrait of the dipshit, who's just the most insufferable dickhead. He seems incapable of shutting up and is constantly playing his guitar, pissing off the homeless guy trying to sleep in the alleyway below. At one point, the dude starts getting intimate with Pamela while Reno's in the room. So all of this going on, does Reno finally kill the punk rocker? No! He kills the homeless guy in the alley. He drills both of the guy's hands to the walls and then runs him through. Finally, Reno finishes his painting and calls up his art director to show it off.
No. This isn't right. This is nothing. This is shit. Worthless.
Bullshit. Derivative.
Then Carol loses her shit. Reno wakes up the next morning to find Carol leaving. He chases after her down the street and grabs her suitcase, which spills open onto the sidewalk, but she just keeps on walking. After some more bloody thoughts, Reno calls up his director and convinces him to come over that night because he's got to make it up to him. The director lets himself into the apartment, and Reno confronts him with a monster drill bit running him through. Pamela comes home and sees the drill bit sticking out of the apartment door, blood pouring from the hole. She opens up to see the director screwed into place. Suddenly, Reno jumps out and grabs Pamela, and we fade to Carol at her ex's apartment. She steps away to take a shower, and Reno breaks in to kill Steven. Naturally, the shower is so loud, Carol hears none of this. After toweling off, Carol heads to the bedroom where someone is moving around under the blankets. She clicks the light off and climbs into bed. We hear her gently asking for to
Come here.
and we roll the credits. Now, even though this one is a totally different movie from what I went in expecting, I don't necessarily hate it. I actually found it kind of entertaining watching Reno's descent into madness. Some of it didn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's insanity for you. But I will say, if it wasn't for the ridiculous drill kills, there's a real chance I wouldn't have liked this one as much as I do. Honestly, it's a lot more competent of a movie than I expected. It's well shot, fairly well acted, and conceptually it feels very coherent. I suppose a smarter person than I could find some philosophy behind Reno's killing motivation. And what I mean by that is, until he completely snaps at the end, he basically just kills random people on the street who have nothing to do with his artistic frustrations. The homeless people are there, but they don't really seem to be bothering him all that much. Unless Reno's one of those kinds who sees another person's mere existence to be an inconvenience. About the only time a potentially homeless person actually interacts with him is at the very, very beginning of the movie when he meets the man who found his phone number and called him. Which seems a very flimsy excuse for taking his murderous psychosis out on all homeless people. But I suppose the point of psychosis is that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to the people outside of it. Personally, I find it quite fascinating that Reno never turns his frustrations towards the band. They are loud, obnoxious douchebags who create an unworkable environment while he's desperately trying to keep the bills paid. The lead singer even moves in on one of the women that Reno's so desperately trying to support while he's in the damn room. At one point, he vents his frustrations about how the band has actually made albums, which means their shitty art is getting a paycheck while he's begging his art director for more and more advances. It really would make a lot of sense for him to blame them as what's wrong with the artistic world or whatever, but through the entire movie, he never even really confronts them. The only thing I can piece together is Reno's just got an underlying sense of classism. Maybe Reno sees the bums as wasting their lives just drinking in the gutter. And as obnoxious as the punk band is, at least they're making some artistic expression, even getting paid for it. In his desperation, Reno finds his sellout point in taking the band's money for commission. The fact that he gets there after becoming a murderer might be saying something. I don't know, but I feel like I've shoveled enough bullshit for this movie already. If nothing else, I'll give the movie points for making me think a bit after the end credits rolled. So I'll be giving this one a medium-sized recommendation. Just know what you're getting. It's not the grindhouse splatterfest I was expecting, but it's still an interesting feature. The Driller Killer was directed by Abel Ferrara, who played Reno, and he's had a fairly steady directing gig since the early 70s. 2 episodes of Miami Vice, Kings of New York, Body Snatchers, and Dangerous Game, just to name a few. As of this writing, he's got some upcoming projects. So add another antagonistic analogy on the altar, kiddies, and until we meet for more monstrous Michigas, this is your slap-happy sicko sugar pants. See you in your dreams.
Please, Billy, please, no gibberish tonight, please, I beg you.
That's it, Billy, get the hell out of here!